Hi everyone. You guys' linked worked, right? Yeah, I don't know what the problem is. I don't know why Ananya G's link is not working. Hold on. Oh, Ananya G. All right.
Can you hear me?
Hi, Ananya G. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
But then the link was not working, but now it's working. I said, let me just make sure. I think there's an issue with the link. Let me just send it across to everyone. Ananya G, I've made you a host, so if anytime you'd like to begin, we can begin. Hold on.
Shall we start?
Yes, let's start. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswate Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. So last time we were in that interesting story of Devhuti Ma and Kardam Rishi, and we saw how they met and what was their family history. Devhuti, can anybody tell me Devhuti had how many brothers and sisters? Do you remember? Devhuti, Prasuti, and Devhuti, Prasuti, and one more. There are three sisters. Devhuti, Prasuti, and I also forgot. Devhuti, Prasuti, and the brothers were? You should help me now. How will we go ahead? Brothers were Uttanpad and Priyavrat, I think. Yes. Devhuti, Prasuti. I'm forgetting the name. Okay, fine. When I remember, I'll let you know. Last time we had discussed about it. And amongst them, Devhuti was the one who was having all the signs of yoga. And that is why now this Manu's daughter, Devhuti, Manu thought that let me wed her, not to some person who is a bhogi, who just wants her for his entertainment, but he should use her yoga so that they can go ahead in their married life. They can evolve more from where they are. And that is why they chose Kardam Rishi. And who was Kardam Rishi? Kardam Rishi was the Manas Putra of Brahmaji. And I had explained to you that there are many sorts of creation possible in this world. This world is very magical. From something, some other thing also can come out. There can be any miraculous thing in this world, because what is a miracle actually? how do you define uh, how do you define a miracle? Tell me, what do you, when we see, um, if suppose I'm having nothing in my hand, and suddenly something starts flowing from my hand, some vibhuti comes out from my hand, what is it? We'll call it a miracle. What does that mean? It means that there is effect without any cause. I can see the effect, but I don't know what the cause is. And similarly here also, this the whole system, the whole srishti is like that. There can be any miracles, any number of miracles, but for us it is a miracle, but there is a cause behind that. That cause cannot be gauged by our, that cause cannot be held, or that cause cannot be thought about by our mind. That's the limitation of our mind, that's the limitation of our brain. But what we cannot think of does not mean that it's not there. Certainly, there has to be some reason. The reason we don't know. But there has to be some reason. And similarly, that is why there are many kinds of creations. Now, I ask you one question. The apple is closed from all sides. And sometimes when you cut the apple, or a mango, okay, fine. So when you cut an apple or you cut a mango, what happens? Some insect comes out of it. From where did that come in? So it's very miraculous. From a small, you keep a tight lid on a jar. In that jar you fill some, suppose some lentils or something. And after some time, if it's very humid, you can see some creatures in that that you don't like at all to see them, but they are there. How did they come? When the lid was also tight, from where did they come? But we feel that there is only a srishti or a creation where there is a mithun, there is a female and a male coming together. This is not right. There are many types of creations, and amongst that only this Kardam Rishi was also a Manas Putra, created out of the mind, out of the Sankalp of Brahmaji. Now, after they met, I had told you all the stories. I'm not going to go all over again. After that, after they met, they were married to each other, they liked each other, but with a condition that Kardamji will stay with Devhuti Ma only till she gets a son. After that, again, because he had some higher goals, some purpose in his life, and that is why he said that I will leave after that. I will take sannyas, I'll renounce everything and I'll go. But because Devhuti had already accepted Kardam Rishi as his as her husband, that is why she said, nothing doing. I accept all the conditions given by you, and from now on we are husband and wife. And they started living together, and their parents, they went off to their own kingdom. Till here we saw last time. After this, what happened? Now something interesting is going to happen. Now Kardamji, his nature was of a renunciate completely. And this Devhuti was a very beautiful, very beautiful princess. Her father was the king of the whole of earth, not of a continent, the whole earth, Manuji. And she was also very pretty, very delicate, but she gave up everything, all her desires, in order to serve her husband. She knew, see, when we serve somebody, now feminists will come up. If I tell them this story, these feminists will come up, and they can come up with their questions that these are all atrocities towards women, and these are all ways to keep them what do you say, to not, so that they can't come up and to dominate them. And these are ways, and we don't like this, and we don't want to be like one of them, and we don't like serving, everybody has equal rights. I agree, but here the point driven is what we can get out of service. When we serve with a higher intention, when we serve somebody having an intention that he is a very great soul, and when we serve somebody with that intention in our mind, the fruit that comes is also very big. This thing we should always keep in mind, because wherever we are placed in life, we will have somebody or the other whom we have to serve. Either we are parents, or we are children, or somebody somewhere else, wherever in some association, if we are there, we will be required to serve, because this is the requirement, this is a necessity of human mind and humankind, that we require service. And we also have a tendency, dormant tendency in us is of service. So how to serve? We have to learn from Dehutima how she served her husband. Her husband was a renunciate. He from the very morning, he used to have bath in the cold water of Saraswati river. Remember, they were staying on the banks of Saraswati river near Bindu Sarovar, and there he used to go and have a dip, and after bath, then he used to go and do his Agnihotram and all the sacrificial routines, rites and all, and then used to again the whole day used to do either something or the other, some ritualistic karmkand or some puja part, or, and she was a princess. Neither ever he asked her, "Have you eaten, darling? Do you need anything?" Never, not a word. And she had left everything. She was here serving a person whom she loved. He also loved, but his actual nature was not like that. His actual nature was very different. So now what happened? He was continuously doing his tapasya, and she was serving. After a time, she became very lean and thin, and all her hair became, um, I mean, all got entangled. And because of having 3 times, she also was having 3 times bath every day, and because of that, she became very lean, thin, and her glow had already gone. The luster had disappeared. Her youthfulness had gone. She was looking very aged now, but she continued to serve with quietness, quietude, and with humility, and with love. And also in her mind, there was Mahima Buddhi, important sense of reverence for Kardamji, that no, he's a very great person. Whenever we serve somebody with this attitude, the fruit that comes will be very great, very, very big. Because, see, when we serve somebody, suppose, what does upasana mean? Upasana or puja, when we offer water on a stone, what are we doing? We are offering the water on a stone, on a jad, on an inert thing, thinking that it is my Lord Shiva. Or when we are offering some food to Shaligram, that's a stone. But I feel in my mind that no, the bhog is being taken by my Lord Narayan. So that intention, that is the thing that will give us fruit, not the outer word, not the outer action. So intention is very important. Whenever I'm serving my mother, I can serve her with a mortal intention also, that she is a mortal. But I can have an intention of my Parvati Ma also, that she is my Parvati Ma, or she is the Almighty. She is the power guiding the whole universe. And she is my mother now. So it depends completely on my intention, my outlook, how I take my service as. Whom am I serving? Outside thing doesn't matter, inside intentions matter a lot, and those count when we get some fruit. Many a times, maybe a person outside is maybe doing some very nice ritualistic work. Maybe I myself am doing Havan every Sunday here in the ashram. But what is my intention? My intention is that I should get a lot of money, people should come, or I should get a lot of fame. Then that intention is not a pure intention, even though it looks as if from outside, external, then that it is pure. So when I get the fruit, my intentions will be giving the fruit, not the outer action. Similarly, when I serve my ailing parents, when I see that no, this is Narayan only, or this is my Lord who is taking my service here, then that seva, that action will reap a very very big fruit. So we should always keep this intention in our mind, because even when we are serving somebody small, even if we have got a child at home, we can have this intention that this child belongs to the Lord, or the Lord Himself has come in the form of this child in front of me. And He's taking my service through this child. Intention will make the difference. Everything is a play of that intention. How do you think? What do you visualize in that person or in that situation? So whenever we are serving, we should have this, and this thought only gave Devhuti a very very big fruit. Now after some time, when time passed by, now Kardam Rishi's heart melted. He was a very staunch and is a pakka sannyasi. So now he said, okay, now Dehuti, tell me. One day he saw that she has become lean and thin and weak, and all her luster is also gone. So he felt pity, and he called her and he said that, now Dehuti, I'm very, very pleased with your service, and I want to show you something. And then with his yogic powers, he showed her whatever he had gained, all the yoga fruits that he had gained. He showed it to her, and he said, because you are my wife, because you served me with full devotion, with service, with surrender, now all these powers also belong to you, so you can also use these powers. But she kept on looking, staring at him like that, with a very with a small smile on her lips. She was looking like that, and he was not very happy looking at all those powers also. Now Kardam Rishi said, aren't you happy? He said, no, no, I'm very happy with these powers, because I know that you are very powerful. I know all these things, that you can give me anything that I want. But I know I want something else. He said, what do you want? Tell me. Whatever you want, I will give you now. Because you have left your ego of a princess, you have left everything back, and you have come here to serve me, so I also will serve you now. What do you want? Tell me. So she stood there, and then with shyness, she said that, you remember when we were getting married, you said that you will stay with me till we have a son, but we neither do we have a house, and look at my body, how is it has become now. It's not worth enjoying also. When I came to you at that time, I was full of youth and the beauty and everything, but now everything is gone. So is it possible that we build a house and we stay together, like a householder? I also want to enjoy a householder's life with you. I want to enjoy the wifehood. So I want to be with you. I want to enjoy your company. Is it possible? So Kardam Joshi said, yes, why not? I had promised you and I'll give you that. Don't worry. And then he built a very, very beautiful Viman. Here, Viman word has been used. Viman means a flying object, a plane, an airplane. And in that airplane, it was not like our airplane. It was a wonderful airplane. It had floors on it, like it was not a single floor. It had many floors and it had bedrooms and drawing rooms and whatnot in it, swimming pool, and there were garden in it. Many many gardens were there, and trees were there, and there were birds also in that. A lot of description is there in Bhagavatam about that Viman that Kardamji built through his yogic powers, and that could travel anywhere. If you want, if you desire to go to Switzerland, it will take you to Switzerland. If you want to go to Honolulu, it will take you to Honolulu. Wherever you want to go to Himalayas, it will take you to Himalayas. Wherever you wish, that plane could take you. It was such a beautiful, and when she saw, it was a very very magical, miraculous, divine flying plane. Now, Devuti was not very impressed. She was said, okay, was not very happy. You know the reason why? Can anybody guess why? Why wasn't she happy? Tell me. Can anybody guess? Huh? Guess? How do we enjoy? From where does enjoyment start? Tell me. If I give you a very, very beautiful, very, very nice thing, from where will it start? How will you enjoy it? If you are not well, will you enjoy it?
No.
Hmm. Joy comes from inside, it's right, but still, if our body is not right, we won't be able to enjoy. So, all the enjoyment start from our body when we are not well. Simple example, when we are not well, we don't like even the closest person who is talking to us. I just want to sleep. I don't want to interact with anybody at that time. It happens like that. Because I'm not well. Physically, if I am not fit, I won't be able to enjoy. So here also she was not happy because physically she knew that she has become pale, lean now. She won't be able to enjoy all these things. So Kardam Rishi got her point. He said, okay, okay, wait. Now you go and have a dip inside the Saraswati Sarovar. What was the name? What was the name? Bindu Sarovar. Bindu Sarovar. So she said, okay. When she went inside the Bindu Sarovar, there were thousands of young damsels there. And they were all waiting with folded hands. Come, Devhuti, come. We are all your servants, and now we will make you have a bath, nice bath. We have got all those sandalwood paste and everything ready for your bath, and now we are going to give you a bath. And then from head to toe, she was nicely bathed, and beautiful jewelry was put on her, and all her luster came back, and all those descriptions are there. She was looking very pretty, and when she saw the mirror, her beauty, what she had left and when she was younger, that beauty she got it back again, and now she was very happy. And now whom she remembered? She remembered her husband. And as soon as she remembered Kardamji, she found herself in his presence. What a miracle! And when she went, and then Kardamji respectfully, see, love and respect both should be there in any relationship. It might be the closest. I have seen many couples. They are very close, but because they are husband and wife, they will use any language, they will abuse, they will say anything, and when they are told that they should not do this, they say, who else shall I go and talk to like this? What do you mean? Because that person is closest, that does not mean that you have right to say anything. Rather, that person should be loved the most because he or she is the closest person. But we have our logics are different, our notions are completely opposite. Whoever is close, we just vent ourselves, all our emotions onto him or her. This is not right. So here also, when Devhuti ji saw her husband, she felt very nice, and then Kardam Rishi took her hand respectfully and then he took her in that plane. And for thousands of years it is written, because this era was different. So we will talk about these eras also sometime. Satyug, Satyug, Treta, Dwapar, and this one, Kalyug. The dharma, the nature of all the yugas are very different. So at that time, in Satyug, the age of all the longevity of age was quite big of all these people. So they also, in that plane, airplane, they stayed for a long time. They enjoyed for a long time wherever, and there are so many places that we cannot see with these naked eyes. Okay, don't think that what we cannot see does not exist. This is again our big notion that what we think that is that what we don't see does not exist. It's not like that. Many things are there that we cannot see, but it exists. It is there. And Kardamji took her to all those places that are described in the scriptures, but we cannot see with this naked eyes through his yogic powers. They're beautiful, beautiful places. All Nandanvan and many places have been mentioned here. And for thousands of years, they were there and they had a very good time with each other. Very, very nice time with each other. Now what happened after that? After that, after a long time passed, Kadamji thought that now we should have children. And they got 9 daughters, and all those daughters were very, very beautiful, and all of them had the smell of lotus emanating from their bodies. All these people are very yogic, they are very powerful people. And I'll tell you the names of all those also. You must have heard Anusuya, etc. All those are very Shraddha, Anusuya, Kala, then Gati, Kriya, 9 children, Arundhati, Shanti, and all these little girls. They were very, very powerful and beautiful also. And all of the girls had lotus eyed. They were very pretty. So after that, suddenly, after these girls were born, Kardamji reminded Devahuti of his promise. He said, I had promised you that once you get a child, I will leave. So I'm going now. He said, what? You're going? And who will marry them? And she was aghast. She said, how can you leave me and go like this now? He said, no, but I have promised my vow that I have to go. He said, no, you can't go. She again started weeping, wailing and crying. And she said, no, no, no. Please arrange for their husbands also. Whom will they marry? And I can't bring them up. You have to be here. He says, okay. Now you also do some tapasya and I will also do some tapasya. Now you remember, Bhagwan had told me, he suddenly remembered, Bhagwan had told me that I will come as your son. So now he will be coming as your son, and so Devahuti, now again you have to have some austerities in your life, and after that, after some time, we will have Bhagwan only as our son. So she said, oh, she regretted that after being with you also for so long. Sometimes it happens that after a person goes away from our life, then we understand the importance of that person. Not till he is there around us. Many times it happens like that. So with her also, this is happening that, oh, I wasted my whole life in only entertainment with you. You could have given me moksha, liberation. But I didn't want that. I just wanted entertainment from you. So this was my fault. But I know that even if the Sangha is done, even if I get attached to somebody higher, to somebody very great, it will also lead to my liberation. And I have my firm faith in you that whatever you say will happen. So she also started continuing doing her austerities, because she was also now waiting for Bhagwan himself to come. And then after a long time, cutting the story short, now after some time, Bhagwan was born to her. Bhagwan came in the form of a small child, and then Brahmaji came. He did all the praises, stutis and all, and he said, "Oh, Bhagwan has come." And Bhagwan was introduced to Devhuti also. Devhuti knew, but still Brahmaji introduced that he is the one who will be the propagator of Sankhya Shastra, Kapil Muni. Now he named him also, that we will name him Kapil Dev, not the cricketer. He is Kapil Muni, Kapil Dev Muni. So Kapil Muni will be propagating Sankhya Shastra. Sankhya Shastra means the Shastra of devotion, Shastra which teaches, and gives knowledge of the oneness of the self. All this has been now has gone into unmanifest, and that's why he will again bring it to manifestation. So I offer my prostrations to Kapil Muni, and then he left from there. And then Brahmaji, before leaving also, he told that he suggested the names of all the rishis, because Kardam Rishi was ready to leave now because the son was born. And look at his dispassion. My God, Bhagwan has come, God has come as a son, and he is ready to leave the house forever and go, leave his wife forever and go. See, there are things that we won't be able to appreciate now, but at some moment of time, maybe we will appreciate what this kind of mentality means. Okay, because dispassion is also one of the bhag. When we call Bhagavan, anybody remembers what Bhagavan means? I had given you this shloka also. What 6 things bhag means? Do you remember? Anybody? I'll be very, very happy if anybody of you can tell me the 6 bhagas. Bhagavan, like we say Dhanvan. Van means somebody who possesses. Like Dhanvan. Dhanvan means who possesses dhan, who possesses the wealth. Gyanvan means who possesses gyan. Similarly, Bhagavan means the one who has bhag. So the 6 bhagas are Aishwarya, Aishwarya samagrasya, Dharmasya yashasa shriya, Dharma, Yash and Shri, Vairagyasya mokshasya, Vairagya and Moksha. Shananam Bhagaiti Ranai. These 6 are called Bhaga. Again, Aishwarya, all the prosperity of this world. Bhaga, first one. Aishwarya samagrasya, Dharmasya, all the dharma. Yashasaha, all the fame. Shriyaha, all the Shri. Shri means prosperity. I don't know. Shri, luster, all kinds of joys, beauty, all that. Shri, wealth. Then, well, the Aishwarya and wealth are very finely demarcated. Then, Vairagya. Fifth one is Vairagya. And last but not the least, Moksha. All these are bhagas. So if you see anybody with dispassion, don't feel very bad or very low about him. With a disdainful attitude, we should not see them. It's not that they have left everything and they don't have anything. Oh my